An assessment in academic work is not about criticism, but taking an objective look at the issues raised in such work or in such works. And so, let me start with where I agree with the presenter or with the lecturer. I learned from him what I knew, but the way he has analyzed it, put it systematically. Review of literature. I want to give that as an example of what I can say I benefited from the lecture. That when you are doing review of literature, three things are crucial. In the first instance, engagement with the work that you want to review. And that means presenting what the author or authors say and how it relates to your own work. In the second instance, you assess the work relating its strengths and weakness. And in the third instance, how your own work will be different. What difference will your work make? What lacuna, gap are you going to fill? What corrections do you anticipate? And that looks to me systematic and comprehensive. On the other side, I disagree that academic work has anything to do with anybody imposing his or her own ideas on other people. Except the people don't know that academic work is not about rhetoric of authority. It is not about who says it, but that it is true in itself, irrespective of whether it's coming from the Pope, from the Church Council, from the Bible or Quran. But that what is said is true in itself. Truth to life. Truth in life. So, the idea of any scholar trying to impose his own ideas on others is strange to academic work. I have been accused. Somebody told me that people insinuate that as the editor of Ilorin Journal of Religious Studies, Department of Religions, University of Ilorin, that I was always imposing my own ideas on contributors. But I know two things. One, if you are writing on any subject related to Yoruba, I will insist that you must accent and dot your words so that you can be academic and leave nobody in doubt what you are saying, because Yoruba is a tonal language. The same word can mean different things, depends on how you pronounce it. So the only thing that can guide us is the accent that you put on it, that we say awo is not awo. Awo is cult. Awo is plate. It's written the same way but pronounced differently. Awo, cult. Awo, plate. So if you don't accent it, how do people know what you are talking about? When I say a Yoruba word that's strange to me and is not accented, I can call it anyhow. So academically, it is not done by academic standard. So some people had that experience with me, that I will insist that you dot and accent your Yoruba words and expressions in an academic work. On the other hand, I remember somebody came up with an article trying to argue that homosexuals are not created by God. So that is not a researchable point. Who are we going to interview whether God created homosexuals like that or not? You want to impose your biblical or Quranic position on the academic world. That is not done. And of course, the lecturer introduced himself as a pastor in the Redeemed Christian Church of God. So I will not be surprised if he was affected by Christian or Islamic mentality, because it's Christianity and Islam that want to impose their dogmas on human beings, even whether through war, persuasion, paternalism, cajolement, or whatever. They will impose the idea. But that is not what is done in the academic world. We go by superior argument, scientific objectivity. So if whatever is presented does not conform to scientific objectivity, we take up the person. Otherwise, to bring up the emotion of somebody trying to impose his own ideas on you, just because as Christians and Muslims you are opposed, and what the person is saying contradicts your dogma. On another note, I will not subscribe to the idea that theoretical framework should be imposed on students of religious studies, because that is not the tradition of religious studies as we know internationally. Religious studies and historical studies are in historical system of research, and that means what is happening or was happening, what brought it about, how is it affecting the people, how are people reacting to it, which studies have been done on it, what did they come up with, and now what do you want to come up with. That is how we drive our research. It's not through theories. And I've come to see that all the professors who are claiming theoretical framework don't know the meaning of theoretical framework. Not any of them whose works I have seen. They actually think that to mention one theory or another in your work means that you have conformed to theoretical framework. No, you have to have a hypothesis that will drive your work to the theoretical conclusion that your hypothesis is right. Is that what we do in the religious studies? It has always been historical. All the names, the most popular names in religious studies that we have known since the beginning of creation, have driven their studies with historical approach. to studies, finding out facts and figures, what has been done, what to do to bring about solution, and not that application of theory. And I want to tell you that those who insist on theoretical framework in historical, in history departments and religious departments are the same people insisting that you must mix quantitative research with your qualitative research, which again is the tradition in history and religious studies, in history and religious studies, because both of them adopt the historical approach to research, not theoretical approach. Sociology is of theoretical system. History and religion are of historical system of research. So when you know the tradition, why don't you conform with it? And when they have confused these students find it difficult to write an acceptable article because they use theory to confuse themselves. They try to make their studies to conform to the theory that they have chosen from here or there that we don't know about. So let us be guided and be well guided. I have challenged professors who are claiming that we must conform to theoretical framework to show me a work that they have done in the theoretical system so that we can see it as a model for ourselves and for our students. And I don't know anybody who has done that. And the works that I've seen so far from these professors, they have mentioned, sometimes they just mention one sociological theory or another, and then they continue with their work in the historical approach, but then they assume that they have come to is when you look at the expression theoretical framework, that means within which you are going to drive your studies. It's not what we do, it's not our tradition, it's not our culture in religious and historical studies. So let us stop confusing ourselves. And nobody is imposing anything on anybody in academic work. Professors who impose their own position on people is because those people don't know that what obtains is scientific objectivity and not rhetoric of authority, because where professor somebody said it, therefore it must be true. No, it must be true because it is true, and it must be investigatable, if you like. We should be able to investigate it and say, that is it. But who are you going to ask? Who are you going to interview about homosexuals being created by God or not? No. If you want to research on homosexuals or homosexuality, you must study history and discover that what we find in literature is that there is no people anywhere where homosexuals don't exist among them. I think it is their small number, their minute percentage of human beings that make the overwhelming heterosexuals to deny their nature. But they are there. They may be few. I remember in one country I said that the usual figure is usually between 2 and 3% of every people. And the student said, it's more than that, sir. So I did not ask him his experience, saying that homosexuals are more than 2 to 3% of every population. He said the percentage is more than that. What did he see? What was his experience? I never asked. I need not ask. But it's important, it's enough to see that somebody reacted that way. And that there's no, that ancient literature, including Bible and Quran and the Torah, aware of homosexuality. So the universality is what confirms that these people are created also by God. If you are looking for any evidence that can reassure us.